Hey Pilar, how are you? Good evening, everybody. This is Allison Haikila. Sorry about the zooming in and out if you're catching the replay. I'm trying to get used to this YouTube live thing. Haven't really had to do this before. So you get to see my desk for a moment there. I apologize about that. It's zooming so weird on YouTube versus when I usually do them on Facebook, which is kind of wacky. All right. I think that I've got it okay now. Let's see. I just want to refresh. I have my laptop next to me here. I'm refreshing my page just to make sure everything looks good. I think we're all right. I'm kind of afraid to zoom in a little bit more. It's weird because my phone, which is what I'm filming on, um, shows a different view from what I see on my laptop, which is kind of weird. You see a little bit more on the laptop than you do on the phone. But whatever, it's all good. So thank you so much for joining me, guys. Yes, I see a couple people popping in. Please say hello. This is my first YouTube live, I think. I don't think I've done them for anybody before, even myself. So if you're here, I would love for you to say hello. We're going to be delving into the wonderful world of fireworks sprays. I've been using fireworks sprays for many, many years. You could see the mica in here. It's settled to the bottom. I had it laying down. Look at that. Oh, it's so shimmery. It's so shimmery and pretty. Got a couple of colors here. I have lots of examples, lots of things we're going to go through. Please feel free to ask questions as we go. I'm not making a full project today. I really wanted to do this first YouTube live to just kind of show you how fireworks are, what they can do. So yeah, but if you have questions or comments as we go along, please don't hesitate to ask. I really want to zoom in a little bit more, but I'm kind of afraid because when I zoomed in before, it got really crazy. I'm going to try to zoom in again. Okay, so if it gets really close, I apologize. All right, I'm going to try. Oh, I see Michelle is here. Hello. Whoa. How's that? I know that that got a little wonky for a second there. Okay, I think that that's better. It's a little weird for me because it's super close up on my phone, but we're going to go with it. One day maybe I'll get an actual camera setup. Okay, let's start chatting. Everything seems to be working well. I'm pleased. I hope you guys are excited. Okay, so fireworks sprays come in two different size bottles. You can get the same colors in both sizes. This is Danube Blue. This is Grape Jelly. There are a ton of amazing colors. Yes, check out Fireworks and Imagine. So I did a swatch. I think that swatching is super important for any medium that you work with. I love swatching. It's relaxing to me. It's a great way to sort of like learn about the colors and how things work on certain papers. So I did a really fast one on an index card. You can see that I'm missing a few colors. I'll be getting those soon. But look at the shine. Do you see how shimmery and beautiful that is? Let's see if I could zoom in a little bit. There we go. How pretty is that? Look at all of these colors. I can't wait to get London Fog. Having a good gray is going to be amazing. So these are most of the colors. These are all the ones that I have. And you could do so much with them because you're not limited to this palette. You can mix them together. Take a palette, like a plastic palette, or work on your work surface. I have my Imagine Craft mat right here. You can mix them on here and apply them with a brush, but we're going to go through all that stuff. So these are the colors. For the most part, there's a few that I'm missing. And again, they come in two different sizes. This is a 1/2 ounce bottle, and then we have a 2 ounce bottle. I say go with the big one if you can because, you know, you just get so much more product in there. You want to make sure, listen to this. You hear those the little balls in there? Those are going to help move that mica around. And you have to shake them whenever you're going to use, whoops, don't drop them. You have to shake them whenever you're going to use them. Okay, you want to shake them thoroughly so that there's no shimmer in the bottom. Okay, and that goes for whatever technique you're going to do, because if you don't shake it up and mix that shimmer into the liquid, you're just going to have straight color, which is not a bad thing per se, but the whole point of having the fireworks is so that you have that shine, right? So let me show you a couple of examples of different things that I've made with fireworks so that you can see just a little bit of all the things that you can do with them. So this tag was on my blog and the Imagine blog last week. I used fireworks sprays in a couple of ways here. You can see this gorgeous plaid. This was done with cottage ivy. Look at how shiny that is. Isn't that fab? So I used it there. I used some here on a stamp. This was a wood-mounted stamp. And I spritzed some of the ink. This was done with Ladybug onto my craft mat here, and I applied my stamp into it and then pressed it onto my craft. And look at how pretty that is. And then I flicked some of Pear Tart. Nope, sorry, I think it's New Sprout. This might be New Sprout. Onto the background, which was done on old book paper. So right here, there's 3 different ways that you can use fireworks spray. Pretty cool, right? Okay, this whole card was done with fireworks sprays. The whole thing. I have 3 different colors. I've got Ladybug, Rosebud, and Lilac Posies. I brushed it on after I shook them up really well, let it dry, and then I had sprayed a stencil. This is from, I think, the Crafters Workshop. I sprayed my stencil with, what's it called? Rich Cocoa. And then I applied it onto the dried background. And then I just took a white pen and highlighted the hearts a little bit. But even this hello, which I die cut several times to get a stacked embellishment, I brushed desert sand on here to get that shimmery too. So this is all fireworks with a couple sequins. Pretty rad, right? I love that. Okay, next. And I'm going to demonstrate this tonight, not with these colors, not with this color or this stencil, but I have some others that I'm going to show you. So I put some embossing paste on some smooth Bristol cardstock. I like using the smooth Bristol because it's nice and heavy and it accepts wet medium really well. So I applied wet paste onto that through my stencil. After it dried, I shook up some Summer Sky. This is a newer color for me. It's been out the whole time that the other fireworks have been out, but this one is new for me. And I just sprayed it. And now the whole thing, pardon the glare, but that's the acetate to keep my shaker bits inside. The whole thing is super shimmery. So that's another way you can use them. Any questions so far? Am I going too fast? Am I going too slow? Let me know in the comments. All right. One of my favorite things to do with fireworks is to just flick them. I'm going to be honest with you. I hardly ever just spray them. I mean, they've got that fabulous sprayer, but I really don't do it very often. I tend to just unscrew the cap and just tap the nozzle all over my space, my card or what have you, scrapbook page, anything. And you get these fabulous droplets of shimmer. So this is with Danube Blue and Pear Tart. And it just adds a little something extra. I could have left my card base white, but it adds so much more when you have that color and shine. My other favorite thing to do, it's going to sound so silly, but I love to just brush it onto my card base. I shake up the bottle. I get a nice, I get a nice watercolor brush. This is a size 10. I'll dip it into my bottle and I'll just go zoop around the edges of my card base, all 4 sides. And then it just makes everything shiny. Look at that. I don't usually have white showing on the top of my card base. Usually I'm applying the fireworks spray to it because I just can't get over how gorgeous that shine is. So that was done with Cottage Ivy. And, you know, there's sequins in here. So there's lots of shine and sparkle, but you always need a little bit more, right? So that's one of my favorite things to do. This is an old project. You can watercolor with your fireworks. This background is all fireworks sprays. Just played with water and a brush, and I just blended the colors together. Again, I put them on my palette or my craft mat and just had a good time. Picked out, I don't know, 3 or 4 colors and just blended them together. This is not a fireworks spray color, but because I blended it with others, I created that new purple. And then using them with stencils is a lot of fun. Halloween is sadly over. It's my favorite holiday, but I mean, look at how beautiful that background is with the Lilac Posies fireworks spray and some pear tart on top of that. You can see those droplets, that's all pear tart. This is just sprayed through a stencil and that's it, and then flicked on with the pear tart. Really easy to do. We're going to do that tonight. And then if we have time, / if you guys are interested, I can show you how I did this. This is all fireworks. The whole shebang. I used, I want to say 4 colors on this. 3 or 4. Isn't that pretty though? I mean, it's just pure shimmer. And it's just a very cool night sky. And you can change the colors as you want. You can make it, you know, instead of having a moon, you can make it a sun. Do it however you like. But that's what I did on this one. So how about we get, oh, you know what? I forgot to show you something else. So I've been posting about doing this YouTube live for a couple of days, and my friend Mark had messaged me and he said, hey, have you ever tried mixing your fireworks sprays with embossing paste? I said, well, no, I've sprayed it on top of it after it dried, but I haven't mixed it in. So I had to try it today. Now, one example is not great, and I want to be honest with you and show you exactly why it's not great, so that this way you can learn from my, I don't want to say mistakes, but learn from what I did, okay? So when you mix your fireworks sprays with embossing paste, it gets runnier because this is, you know, a liquid. It's very fluid. So you're kind of, I don't want to say watering down your embossing paste, but you're thinning it out, okay? So I applied it through my stencil. This is a stencil from Stamp Anything, and it seeped underneath, which is okay. I was experimenting. I don't have a problem with this learning experience. So the second time, I didn't get any seeping, because not that I changed the consistency or the thickness or any of that. I just learned from what I did the first time. So I made sure that I kept it a little bit thicker. And I made sure that I kept my stencil in place and didn't let it shift at all. And look at how cool that is. You don't really see a whole lot of shimmer. There's a couple of flashes here and there, but it's certainly not shimmery the way it is when you just spray it onto cardstock. But, you know, you can customize all of your embossing paste now, which is fantastic. And doesn't that look fabulous? I love this. It's a great stencil. Okay, so let's start with this. We are going to spray this. I've already applied white embossing paste to a piece of Bristol, and it has dried thoroughly. I did this a couple of days ago. You don't have to usually wait for a couple of days. You can usually just wait about an hour or two, depending on the paste and how thick it is. But we're going to start by spraying this. Now, there are lots of different things that you can use to protect your surface. I have my craft mat from Imagine out here, but I also have, we had this tonight for dinner. I didn't really feel like cooking. So I usually just have a piece of cardboard in my desk, but I wanted you guys to see that you can just open up a big box like this and protect your surface. I'm just bending the back a little bit. You know what? Let's flip it this way. I think it's going to sit better. That's better. And I'm going to just use this to protect my desk. You can use whatever you like. You can keep it as big or as small as you want. But that's what I'm going to use. And this thing is not going to stay still at the moment. So I'm going to just tape it to my camera stand temporarily. Okay. Does anybody have any questions so far? What do you think of these samples? What do you think of these colors? What do you think of fireworks? Have you used them before? Do you love them? All right. I'd love to chat with you. Okay. So we have Potter's Clay, Tangelo, and Dandelion. I'm keeping the colors next to each other on the color wheel. This way we don't make any mud. Thanks, Pilar. And we're going to just play with this. So this, again, is embossed with paste. It's a stencil from A Colorful Life Designs, and it's called, I don't know if I have it out at the moment. I don't have it out at the moment. My apologies. But I can always put it in the comments later or something. So again, we're going to shake this baby up. And we're going to just spray it. You see the overspray over here? It's spraying over. So you just want to make sure that, you know, your surface is covered well. And that's soaking right in. And now I'm going to take some dandelion. And you do want to make sure that you clean off your nozzle when you're done with it so that it doesn't get clogged. I have a bad habit of not doing that, and I need to get better at it. But you can always run it under warm water if you need to when you're done, or when you go back and try to spray something and it hasn't sprayed because it's clogged. No worries, you can definitely just clean it out. Let's get some more dandelion in there. So that was Tangelo. I don't know if you could see how shimmery this is already, but it is very shimmery. Okay. I think we need a little bit more over here. Let's go back with the potter's clay. There we go. Check that out. Look at that shine. And it's such a fast process. You know, you have this beautifully colored background that was done in no time. I mean, it's pretty quick to apply paste through a stencil. You have to wait for it to dry, but then when you're done and you just spritz this a few times, you could do one color, you could do 5 colors, whatever you like. And it just looks amazing. Isn't that so pretty? And this is not going to rub off. You know, the shimmer is not going to come off. Some products, the shimmer, not necessarily sprays, but other, you know, dry mediums, what have you, you know, the shimmer will rub off. This does not. So we're going to just set this aside to dry. Okay. Now, you could see here, I've got a lot of overspray. And when I'm working on my craft mat, I really like to just pick that up because I don't want to waste it, right? And it won't work as well on cardboard because, you know, it's going to just soak in. But you could just take some scrap and just start making like a cool strip that you can use as a border on your card later on. And this isn't going to look like much right now, but as we keep building color, and again, this works better when you're working on something that's like, you know, a silicone craft mat that isn't absorbing the color. But you can get some really beautiful things, and then you can either leave it as a strip or you can die cut it. You could stamp on top of it, do whatever you want, but don't waste the spray. All right, so that's one thing. Let's see. I have a little list here. We're going to spray through a stencil now. Let's spray through a stencil. And we're going to get 2 backgrounds out of this one procedure. Okay, so let's see. What colors should we use now? We did a couple of warm colors. I think we'll do a couple of cool colors now. Let's go with, I'm just trying to look at my colors back here. Maybe we'll do some Bahama Blue and Cottage Ivy. I think that'll look nice. Okay. So I've got my Cottage Ivy, shaking up the Bahama Blue. You can really hear those atomizers going in there. All right. We're going to lay our stencil down. You can use Pixie Spray if you want to. Pixie Spray is a product that has some low tack to it. In fact, I might do that with this because you can see that there's a shadow happening. See the difference? Because my cardboard here is bowed. So I think I'm going to apply some Pixie Spray on the back just so that it doesn't shift on me and the colors don't seep underneath. I'm just spraying it off camera. Okay. So there's, I don't know if you can really see it, but there's a little bit of an adhesive on the back here now. And that is going to secure our stencil to our piece of cardstock so that the color won't flow underneath the stencil. Okay, so we're going to shake this up again. It does settle kind of quickly, so you want to make sure that you're constantly shaking it. This is Cottage Ivy. And now we're going to go in with some Bahama Blue. I'm going to add a little bit more Cottage Ivy in the middle here. And some more Bahama Blue. Now you might be saying, oh man, she is using a lot of spray here. It's all right. We're going to use it all. We are. So now you might want to consider letting it dry a little bit, because I really did load it on there, but I want it to be nice and you know, dense as far as the color goes. The other thing is that here you could see it didn't really travel. So I'm just taking my brush and I'm just going to push it so that I've got color all the way up to the edge. And I've got some water off to the side here, so I'm just cleaning off my brush. Okay. Very good. Now, I would tend to let this dry a little bit because it is so wet, but because we're doing a live right now, we are going to just move on. So if there's a bit of seeping underneath, forgive me. But in the meantime, what we can do is take another piece of cardstock and we're going to get this ready. Let's go like this. We're going to shift this a little bit, like so. I'm going to take this and then I'm going to flip this right onto that other piece of cardstock. Just like so. And now I'm taking a piece of, actually, you know what? I've got my art journal here. This is something else I did with the leftover paste that I used earlier. Got my art journal and I'm going to just push it right onto this. This way I don't get inky fingers, although truth be told, I don't mind inky fingers. I'm usually covered in ink. It means that I had a good day. If I have paint and ink on my hands, it means I've had a good productive day in my studio craft room. Okay, so now we actually have a 3-fold. Check this out. Look at how pretty that is. So instead of getting it all over our fingers, we got it into our art journal. Look at this, and here's the first one. Now when these dry down, you're going to be shocked at how much shimmer there is. You can kind of see it already because this is a little bit more dry. How pretty is that? And I have a heat tool here that we can use to speed up the process, but this still has a lot of ink on it. So let's get another piece of cardstock. I just want to move these wet pieces off to the side. I have, okay, so we have been working on smooth Bristol cardstock from Strathmore so far, okay? So now I have, this is going to be tough to show in the camera, but now I have Canson mixed media. Okay, so this way you can see the difference between some papers and cardstocks. All right, so now I'm going to take this, and it's still nice and wet. I'm going to just carefully lay this down on here. And if you hear some meowing, that's my cat. He just ate some food. And now he's happy. Just pressing this in, and I have the paper on top just so that I don't get it all over my hands. Cool. So this is something that we can add to. We can also wet this if we want to spray this with some water. Let me get some water. And we get all of these prints out of it just by using that spray the first time. Okay, so now I'm going to try to flip this right back on top of where it was. I'm going to take that piece of paper again. And just push this in. Check that out. Look at how much color we got on there now the second time. And there's still more on here. So we can keep going. We're not going to. But you get the idea that you have all of this ink sitting on top of your stencils and you can use it. Don't let it go to waste. And a tip that I have is I keep a basin of water in my craft room while I'm working with stencils so that if I have paste or ink or anything on my stencils, I can just dump it right into the basin of water. It usually has about an inch of water in it. So this way I can just let things sit and soak so that everything comes out clean. And I don't have to worry about it getting stuck onto my stencil. Now fireworks are not going to do that, but obviously I'm not going to take time to wash my stencils right now. But I do recommend having just a small basin. You can get it like, you know, the discount store or something, so that you can keep your stencils nice and clean. Plus, you know, if you're running your stencils underwater, then it takes a lot more water than it does to just fill a basin with an inch of water. Okay, moving on. I'm just looking at my notes here. How about we do a little mixing with the embossing paste, so I could show you how that works. I'm going to remove my funny stand here that I've taped to my camera mount. Hold on. There we go. I'm going to remove this. And when those backgrounds are dry, I'll be sure to show you what they look like. So I'm getting some white embossing paste. This is not a glossy. And this is a very old brand that isn't even available anymore. So I'm not even going to show you the brand. Let's do some grape jelly. Purple's my favorite color. Let's do that. So I'm shaking this up. I'm going to put this stencil on here. This is another one from a Colorful Life Designs. It's called Dot Wreath. I'm going to just stick this on here. I don't really need the dots to be in the center. I do want to tape it down. Okay. And I'm going to put a little tape underneath as well. We're back to using Bristol, by the way, just because it's really sturdy and it holds up to embossing paste nicely. Just putting a little tape underneath just to hold it in place. And I'm grabbing my palette knife. And again, I'm going to shake this up a little bit. Okay. And I'm going to very carefully try not to spill this everywhere. Okay. Just a little bit in there. That should be plenty. Opening up my paste now. And I'm just going to grab a generous scoop. I do not need all of this, but I want to make sure I have enough, because obviously once we color this, it's not going to go back into my jar. Okay. Now you could see that it's lightened it up, because when you mix a color with white, what happens? It gets lighter. So if you want it to be darker, you could just add more ink to it, more of the spray. But I think it's pretty. I like this color. All right, so now we're going to apply it through the stencil. So what I've got here, there's a bug on my desk. There he goes. All right, he's gone. I'm going to apply the paste by the top. And there are a few ways to do this, but I'm going to apply it up there. And then you know what? Let me grab my paste tool. There are different paste tools on the market. I like using a metal one because it doesn't get any nicks or anything in it the way some of the silicone ones do. And I'm just going to drag this through. And you can see that I need some more, and that's fine. We have plenty. Just going to get like an initial amount pushed in here, and then we're going to drag it through again. And that will make sure that we have a nice even coat of the paste. I'm going to drag this through. There we go. Perfect. And now we have all this left over. So that's why I wound up making all of those backgrounds before, including the one in my art journal, because again, I don't want to waste this stuff. You know, we took the time to make it. Don't waste it. Okay, look at that. Now again, this really isn't going to have a lot of shimmer. You might see a little bit here and there once it dries down. I can see a little bit. I can see a little right here by my thumb. But either way, you can customize your paste with this, which is fantastic. And if you want to, once this is dry, you know, you could paint in the negative spaces with the grape jelly, and now you've got a tone-on-tone, you know, background for your card making. Right? Okay, I'm setting this off to the side. Any questions so far? You guys are quiet. Am I going too fast for anyone? Okay. Okay, so what I tend to do is like I would save this in a canister or something. We can always apply it through another, piece of cardstock so that we don't waste it. I like having scraps around for that very reason. So like, see, this is just another piece of Bristol that I had left over, and I can just apply it right through, and then we're not wasting it. I didn't even need to tape this down because it's just a small piece, and it makes me feel good about not just throwing away the supply that I just made, Check that out. And this is a great little piece to add to a card or a scrapbook page or something like that, right? And it'll have a little bit of shimmer because we did it with our grape jelly. All right. So because I don't have anything prepared to put this in, I'm going to just wipe this off, and I'm going to get my stencil into my water bath so that the paste is not dry on the stencil, because you never want your paste to dry on a stencil. Okay. Let me put that away. All right. Meanwhile, let me clean up my space here so that we don't have purple paste on the next thing that we do. And you can see that the craft mat cleans up really nicely. Okay. I'm going to just get rid of the paste. And I'm going to just put this into my basin of water with my stencil so that that does not dry on there. Okay. Moving on. Let's see, what else do we need to do? Let's paint a little bit. Let's do just a little bit of painting. What do I got here? Oh, I have this too. I forgot about this background. Let's do something with this first. All right. We can actually paint with this. Okay, so I have some water here. And I've got my brush. You can use whatever kind of brush you want. I'm using a watercolor brush. And you can see that I've already applied my embossing paste to this. So I'm going to tell you that the hardest part about what we're going to do now is not knocking over your bottle. The rest of this is easy. You don't want to knock over your bottle. I've done it. I don't recommend it. So now we're just going to paint the area that we want with Ladybug. Move to this side. And you can be as messy as you want or as neat as you want. You can decide if you want this to have, like, say we're doing a holiday card and you want it to be only green and red. Maybe you want to do this row red and this row green and this row red, etc. You could do it however you like. Or maybe you want to do a rainbow. And we can either color the background or not. And since we're using a brush, we can choose to color the background a different color completely, or keep going with what we've, already got on our brush. I'm making this a little sloppier than I normally would, but I don't want to take too much time so that you can see as much as possible. Okay. And you can see how shimmery that is already. Okay, so that's one color that we have not spilled. It's pretty good. Let's make a rainbow. We're not going to do the full rainbow, but we'll get a rainbow started. Okay, so now I have Tangelo, which is a really pretty orange. Just cleaning off my brush. You don't want to mix your colors in there, and you also don't want to put, a lot of water in your fireworks spray because you don't want to water it down. So just make sure that you dry off your brush before you go into your bottle. So we're just going around these squares. And, you know, sometimes it's tricky to stencil with ink this way. Say I wanted each row to be a different color, the way we're doing now. You know, sometimes you have to mask it off, and some of us can't do ink blending for very long because we have dexterity issues or arthritis or other things like that. You know, so using a brush to apply color like this is much easier on the body. Okay, so now we have dandelion, and you can see that I'm not going to go through every single square because you get the idea, but I want you to see how pretty this is going to look once we have a rainbow. Dandelion is such a nice yellow. And this is just, it's just a fun way to use all of these colors. There we go. So you get the idea, right? I'll hold that up to the camera a little closer. There we go. Look at that shine. That's so pretty. And it's super shiny on the cardstock directly. It's a little less shiny on the embossing paste, but I don't mind that. It just enhances the design. It's so pretty, right? Okay. Moving on. We got a lot done so far, right? I think we did. We'll do a recap at the end. Okay. How about we do a little painting? So I'm grabbing my Canson mixed media. Let's show this. That has dried down pretty well. Look at how beautiful these colors have blended together. Oh, I love that. So this is Bahama Blue, this is Cottage Ivy, and this is somewhere in the middle. Okay, what should we paint? Should we paint some flowers? Why not? Let's try it. I'm not claiming to be a watercolorist or anything. I do like to dabble, but I'm no expert. But I just want you to see that you can paint with them. So I've got some rosebud here, and I'm going to grab bamboo leaves. This is a really pretty color. Okay. Let's start with some leaves. Making sure my brush is pretty dry. Dipping that in. Okay. And this is on dry. You could certainly do some wet on wet techniques also. Ooh, I'm out of practice. That's okay. This is just about showing you what the sprays can do, right? Okay. I'm gonna wash that off, close up my bamboo leaves for a minute. And now we're gonna go into rosebud. I should probably grab a smaller brush. Let me get a smaller one. I've got my size 4 here. Ooh, my brush needs to be fixed a little bit. Okay. We're not going to go through a whole thing here, but you get the idea. You can paint with them. And then, you know what? Let's do something else. I want to show you how they mix together. So I'm going to grab a little bit more of the rosebud. And then okay, I've got Tangelo again. And I'm going to go in with my bigger brush just because I might want to dip back into the rosebud again. But I want you to see how nicely they blend. Look at that. Isn't that nice? It's so soft. It totally broke up that line. And you just have a really pretty blend. Let's bring this up to the camera a little closer. Can you see that? Get rid of that little bubble. There we go. And once that dries, it's going to be all shimmer. See how pretty that shimmer is? Not my painting. My painting is terrible, but that's what happens when you try to paint standing up, you know, 2 feet above your work surface instead of right on top of it. I need to make sure I stay in frame. Okay. Just washing off my brush. I'm going to wash off my other brush. Who has questions? Who has comments? You guys are so quiet. What did you guys have for dinner tonight? Food is always a good icebreaker. Did you have dinner yet? What are you cooking tonight? I'm getting the backgrounds from before so that you could see them now that they've mostly dried. So this was the first one, which is why it's got a little bit of stray color here and there. Hi, Diana. How are you? You just got here? Thanks for coming. I appreciate it. Oh, my friend Amanda said it won't let her comment. She just sent me a message. I'm sorry you can't comment, Amanda. Are you logged in? You won't really be able to answer me. Could be because you don't have a login or something. I don't know. Somebody else was having that trouble the other day when I did a test run and it wasn't working for them. And I'm not really sure why. It's very strange. It's never happened to me on Facebook before. So we have, Amanda, you said you think so. Okay, that could be why. So I've got these big splotches here. I kind of want to pick them up. Okay. Amanda, I'm sorry that you can't comment, but I'm really glad that you're here. I'm just kind of sopping up some of these big blobs of color. You don't have to do this, but I just want it to dry a little bit quicker. And if I sop up some of this excess color, it will. We can also use our heat tool. But look at that shine. That whole thing is so shiny. And this one, I think this one's my favorite. Look at that. Isn't that so pretty? Thank you, Diana. Thanks. Okay. Let me look at my list here and see what else we have. Oh, I want to grab the journal too. So this was what we used when we were making this one. We pushed the color down with the book and we got this color seeping through, and it's just the perfect start to an art journal page. I love that. I can't wait to finish this. It's going to look awesome. And then this was with the paste that I had made earlier with the Danube blue. So pretty. The texture is fantastic too. Okay, so we have painted. Would you like to see how to do a night sky? I did this on a recent Facebook Live, but I feel like it's worth doing here because it's such a cool effect. The only thing that I need to grab is my little circle mask. And let's do a night sky because it's so fun. I can't get my mask, guys. It's totally stuck. Okay. I'm going to put a little bit of pixie spray on this. So this is just, it's a little thicker than what a stencil is made of. It's some type of mylar or plastic or something. This was in like a kid's stencil kit that I've had forever. And I thought it was the perfect size for a moon. So I like to have some pixie spray on it just so that, again, the color doesn't really seep underneath. I'm just going to spray it a little bit because it lost a bit of its tack. You could see that there's, see that white spray on there? That's the pixie spray, and that's going to hold it in place. I've got my Bristol here. I'm going to just apply my stencil. Let me show you what we're going to make. Where is it? Here we go. We're going to do something like that. I did this for a couple of Halloween cards because, again, Halloween's my favorite. But you can totally have, like, Santa and his reindeer coming across. I can't and shouldn't bring another thing into my craft room, but your demo makes those sprays tempting. Oh, nobody cares. Thank you. I feel funny saying your name that way, but that's what you've got there. I care. I'm going to tell you the truth here, and this is not, I don't make commission off of this or anything. Oh, Amanda, you're here. I see you. I saw you ordered a bunch. You're going to love them. I can't wait for you to get them. These are things, if you've watched any of my lives before, or you go to my Instagram, you will see that there are fireworks sprays in many, many of my projects. I'm just shaking up a bunch of colors and we'll go through them just so that we can get them all shook at once. Amanda, I'm glad that you can comment now. You ordered your first bottle last week. What color did you get, Diana? Share. Tell us. Okay. I forgot to shake up. Where's my Bahama Blue? I lost it. Oh, here it is. Okay. We got lots of colors here. We're not going to use all these colors, but it's better to have extra. Ooh, you got red? Okay, so the red is this one. That's Ladybug. I love this color. It's fabulous. It's fabulous. Okay, so we're going to start by spraying some Bahama Blue. Just like this. Very haphazardly. Do not worry about perfection. I am not about perfection in any sense of the word. We're just here to play, guys. We're just here to play. So now I'm going to grab some Paris Dusk. Gotta shake that a little bit more. Look at how nice that color is. Oh, so pretty. And now we're going to fill in with a bit of Lilac Posies. We could use Sweet Plum too, but I think I want to go with Lilac Posies. And this is your sky. You can make it whatever colors you want, okay? You don't have to use the colors that I'm using. Again, as I said earlier, when I first showed the background, if you want to make this like a morning sun, and you can use the Tangelo and you can use Dandelion, whatever you like. But I wanted to do a night sky. Okay, so I'm shaking up some black, some Tuxedo Black. And we're just going to darken the edges a bit. There we go. That's a little bit more than I wanted, but that's okay. Let's go back in with some Bahama Blue. Now again, don't say, oh my gosh, Allison, you're using so much spray. It's fine. We're going to use it all. We will use it all. Okay. Pilar says, I'm going to need to get some of these in play, especially with Christmas coming. Yes. Oh, you lied, Dana. Diana, excuse me. You got the Arizona Canyons variety pack. I'm not sure what's in that one, but I'm sure it's delightful. I would think that potter's clay is in it. That's probably in there. Okay. This might not look like much at the moment, but it's going to look amazing, I promise. So we're going to just squish this down a little bit. I'm going to remove my mask carefully. Now there's a lot of ink on here too. Don't waste it, folks. Let me get a piece of paper. No, you know what? I'm going to grab my art journal. I'm going to stick it in there. We'll play with that in a little while. Okay, so now this is where the magic is going to really happen, okay? You're going to take a little bit of water. This is just a spray bottle with water in it. Water. And we're just going to spray that moon a little bit. Don't overdo it. Trust me, you don't want to overdo it. Okay, that's it. Now I'm going to set this off to the side for a minute. We'll heat set it shortly just so that it dries faster. But I don't want to waste all of this. I get very passionate about saving things and using everything. Let me get, you know what? We're going to go back into the art journal. Look at that. Isn't that a cool little circle there? We can just add some journaling to that. Oh, I love it. Okay, so I'm going to go into my art journal and I'm going to pick up this ink with my art journal. Check that out. We have this really cool frame that we can write in or put pictures or whatever, right? But then there's still more here. So So I'm going to take another strip of paper. And I'm just going to drag it. And if you find that it's starting to dry, you grab that water and you just kind of reconstitute a little bit. And then just stick your paper in there. I love using these leftover scraps for stuff like this, and then I'll just die cut them or put them on my card as like a border or something. If you have alphabet dies that you like to work with, these are great to die cut. Okay, that's pretty good. That is going to look really pretty when it's dry because it's going to be nothing but shimmer. Okay, now I'm going to wipe this up. If I was doing this alone, I would keep going, but I think that you get the idea. Okay, now we're going to grab this background. I'm going to get a new paper towel. Hold on one sec. Okay. Nice clean paper towel. That won't be clean for long. And I'm just going to pick up a little bit of this ink on the side here, just because I don't want these harsh lines. And then we'll dry it down so that you can see how gorgeous this is going to be. Okay. It's totally fine to use your heat gun on this silicone mat. You can also pick up your background if you prefer, whatever you like. Pick up a little bit more of this ink. Okay, that's pretty good. Let's do a close-up. How pretty is that? There's a couple of spots that are still wet, but it's dry enough. Seriously, is that the most gorgeous galaxy? And then, how about this? We're going to grab, this is the first time I thought of doing this on this background, and I've done this background a few times. So I'm getting some Brilliance ink in white. It's Moonlight White. Thanks, Diana. This is something that I do with it. I don't even have this ink pad. I do not have the ink pad that goes with this re-inker, but I use this re-inker for making stars. So I'm going to put a little bit on my acrylic block. I'm going to spray it with some water. And then I'm going to get a brush, a different one from before. Let's see, this is a good one. Just got a nice scruffy like brush. And then I'm going to flick this off. Right off the side. And this is the only thing that I use that re-inker for. It's for making stars. Isn't that great? Look at how pretty that is. Oh, I love it. These look like they're shooting, right? Thanks, Amanda. Thank you. Okay, so now I want to just clean off my brush. I got my water back, and I can just wipe this off with a paper towel. And you're only using a drop or two. Okay, because the re-inkers, you know, any re-inker is a very concentrated version of whatever color it is, right? Isn't that cool? Oh, this looks so pretty. It's so spooky, right? Doesn't have to be spooky, but I just automatically go to spook. But wouldn't it be nice if you had like a silhouette of Santa Claus flying across for like a cool Christmas card, and then you put like a sequins on Rudolph's nose or something. I don't know. Just thinking as I go. That's kind of how I work. I don't like to plan too far ahead. I kind of just come up with things organically. And, you know, I think that would make a great scene for Santa. Okay. All right. We've been at this for almost an hour. And there is one more thing I want to do with you. Oh. I want to go back to swatching for a sec and experimenting. If I teach you anything, whether it's this live or any other live, I want you to learn how to play. A lot of people are afraid to play. Oh, Arizona Canyons has rich cocoa, rhubarb stalk, potter's clay, and desert sand. That's a really nice selection of colors. That's really pretty. I have to get rhubarb stalk still. But those are all just such pretty colors. Play as much as you can and experiment. Okay, don't be afraid to try. A lot of people, hey, my friend Amy's here. How are you, darling? Thanks for popping in. A lot of people are afraid to play. And I have this really ugly piece of scrap paper because I wanted to try stamping on top of my fireworks spray. So I sprayed this piece of cardstock with Summer Sky, and then I stamped the same stamp, again, in a messy way because we're just experimenting. This isn't going on a card. This isn't going in my art journal. It's not going anywhere except, you know, in my brain so I remember what happened, right? What I used to create an effect. So I stamped this with Monarch from VersaFine Claire. And then this is Rich Cocoa Memento. And then this is Chai Spice StazOn. And you can see that all three of these stamp really well. This is a rubber stamp. They stamp really well with the fireworks, but the shimmer kind of rises to the top. So you can definitely stamp on your fireworks spray with a variety of inks. You just have to keep in mind that the stamped image is going to kind of go behind the shimmer, which is, you know, quite frankly, a lovely effect, right? Okay. One more thing I wanted to show you. Let me get another piece of paper. Let's cut this down. We're going to cut this down. Grab my paper cutter. And I'm just going to trim this a little bit really quickly. Does anybody have questions? Also, are there products or techniques that you'd like seen in a live video, that you'd like shown in a live video? Is there anything that you'd want me to go over at some point, you know, during the next one or what have you? I'd love some feedback on anything that you guys might want to see. These are some of my most favorite inks, the Kaleidacolors. They're a dye ink, they're water reactive, and they click together so that you can get these really beautiful seamless blends. So we're going to do a little bit of that, and then we're going to flick some fireworks on top so that you can get a really cool effect. Okay, so I have my brayer here, and you can do this with either ink potion number 9 or water. Where's my ink potion number 9? Here it is. Ink potion number 9 is really great because it helps your colors blend. It helps keep them wet a little bit longer. It helps them migrate a little bit better. So I think that we're going to use the ink potion number 9, but you can use water if you don't have it. So I'm going to click this together. I'm going to just roll this out onto my brayer. I'm going to open that up just so that the colors don't meld together too much. And now I'm going to just spray this off camera because I don't want to wet this. I'm just spraying it with my ink potion number 9, just so that I can get those colors to kind of stay wet and migrate together a little bit. You can see that they've gotten much more vibrant than they were before. And now we're going to just roll this out. There's a lot of paint on here, so it's kind of holding onto the color. We can actually do it a little bit more. Something that I forgot to mention earlier is that, you know, these fireworks sprays are all the same colors as the Memento inks. So if you love Memento inks or markers, they're the same colors. So you can have a fully coordinated palette by just sticking with the Memento line. So as an example, so we have Dandelion and Dandelion. Same. Okay. We have Tangelo and Tangelo. Same. Isn't it pretty, Amy? Thank you. Oh, Rhiannon is working, my daughter Rhiannon is working on a card using this palette. Oh, it's so pretty. And Amy, you'd love it because she's going to put bats on it. Oh, thank you. Nobody cares. I appreciate it. Okay, so now that we have this on here, I'm going to take some desert sand. We haven't played with that one yet. I'll give you a sneaky peek. Don't tell her that I showed you. But this is what she did with hers. So this is the same palette as this. She has it turned this way. See the orange, right? And she's flipped it around, so the green is over here. So she has a couple of the purples twice. But yeah, isn't that adorable? She loves using these too. I have, I don't know, maybe 15 of them. I'm obsessed with them. And you can get these without ink. So you can make your own Kaleidacolor, which is so cool. I use Kaleidacolors a lot. I feel like that would be a fun thing to do on a live, is working with those, showing you guys what you can do with them. Okay. It is nice to share my crafts with a loved one. My son, my daughter, and my husband will craft with me, which is really pretty amazing. I'm very lucky. Okay. So if I would have gotten this a little bit darker, you know what? Let's do this. We're going to just... Here we go. Now it's nice and dark. We'll do it like that. I want you to really see how pretty this looks. I did it with Pear Tart earlier, and it was just like, wow. Let's grab some Pear Tart too. Okay. I can even spray it a little bit. Okay, and let's see what that does. All right, it's super wet now. You can see here that it's reacting with the wet spray. Let me dry it. Let me dry it because it's a little tough to see. I got my heat tool on again. Okay, so any ink that you have that reacts with water, look at how pretty this effect is. You can get these really amazing splotches that then have shimmer. It's not just that you're removing color and adding shimmer, which, I mean, these are not the best examples, but you get the idea, I would think. I think I have a sample. Yeah, this is what I did before. So this is the same palette, okay? And this is just done with Pear Tart on top. You know, I was actually sitting down and I was relaxing and, you know, just kind of playing before the live started. So this was the effect I was kind of going for. But how fab is that? You know, on such a dark color that you get this bright pop of shine. So yeah, tons of stuff that you can do with fireworks sprays. So much. Let's do a recap. I'm just going to clean off my space a little bit. I have sprayed Pear Tart all over my Kaleidacolor here. Because, you know, that's what happens when I start to play. Amy says, that's awesome that it stands out on top of the dark color like that. Yeah, I love that. I love how that happens. But whatever water reactive inks you may be playing with now, it's a great technique to use with them. Okay. Putting away my block so that I don't drop it. Okay. So this is the sky that we made, which I gotta say I'm totally crazy about. And how long did that take us? Like 3 minutes? I don't even know if it took that long. So simple. You just combine a few colors and just play. Thanks, Amy. And then we played with this stencil from A Colorful Life Designs. And we got, this was the first one where we sprayed right through the stencil. Right? And then we flipped it over and got this. And when we flipped it, we put my art journal on top and got this seeping through. What colors did you use on the sky again? I used Tuxedo Black, Paris Dusk, Bahama Blue, and Lilac Posies. So there's a bunch of colors on here. And then I used the Moonlight White Brilliance ink on top to make my stars when it was dry. Love that. I know I need to put bats. The first time I made this background, I had bats on it. So this was done with the seeping. Well, you can use Sweet Plum also. I've done it with Sweet Plum and it looks really pretty too. Or you could use Rosebud, whatever. Just play around. You know, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I think that Cottage Ivy would look really spectacular too, honestly. You'd get some nice teals in there. It would look sort of like an Aurora Borealis, which, oh, would be amazing. So how great do these look? And we got like 4 or 5 prints out of just the one bit of spraying. This is my favorite though. I mean, that is just stunning. Stunning. And then we painted, poorly, but we painted, right? Blended a couple of colors together. That's Tangelo and Rosebud. And then we've got this. This is another stencil from A Colorful Life Designs. Katie's here. Hi, Katie. How are you? Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by. This was done with Tangelo and Potter's Clay and Dandelion. So pretty. This is soft. I kind of expected it to be darker, but the Dandelion really kind of lightened the whole thing up, and I think it's just lovely. Oh, it's okay, Katie. I appreciate you stopping by. And this was also done with a white embossing paste, and then we just painted. We're going to make a rainbow with this. Look at how the shimmer makes that stenciled negative space stand out. So pretty. Oh, not great. Completely different looks depending on what you want to achieve. You know? And then let's go back to my art journal. So this was done with the paste that we mixed with the Danube Blue. This was leftover spray from when we made this. So now I have this fantastic framed area that I can journal in or add more color and stamped images. Don't waste any of it. Pick it up. Even if you're just using a scrap that you have no idea what you're going to do with later, look at how pretty this scrap is. I mean, isn't that gorgeous? It's just nothing. It's just white cardstock with the overspray that we picked up from the mat just by going like this. So simple, but you know, if you die cut a sentiment out of here or use this as a shadow layer behind a sentiment, or if you're making a shaker card and this is the backer for the window, so many options, guys. So much, right? Okay, I think this is with the embossing paste. It does get runny, which is what happened here. I wasn't used to the consistency yet. I was used to regular embossing paste. But when you mix it with fireworks, it makes it a little bit runnier, so you have to just be aware of that. So this version came out much better, but goodness me, so pretty. Customizing your pastes. Thank you so much, Diana. Looks like Vaughn colors. Yeah, it does. All right, so I think that's about it. I would love to hear your feedback. If you enjoyed this live, message me privately. You can find me at AllisonHykela.com. On Facebook, it's Allison Hykela Designs. This is upside down. I would love to hear, what you'd like to see in a live in the future. What kind of demos you'd like to see. This is all done with fireworks. We didn't do this tonight. This I made a while ago. But this is 3 colors of fireworks brushed on. And then I sprayed a stencil and flipped it on to my background once it was dry. And there you go. So cool. And then I put more fireworks on my sentiment. So you can do so much. Don't just spray them. They're beautiful when you spray them. You can see, right? That's what we did here. But you could do so much more. So I hope that you experiment and play. Give them a try because my goodness, they're one of my favorite things to play with, for sure. Amanda wants to see Kaleidacolor stuff. I would love to show Kaleidacolor stuff. Thank you so much, Michelle, for putting up my link. I appreciate it. This here, I just brushed in the background, right? And flicked on the color. Oh, so much you can do. All right. Thank you so much, Expressive Paper. I appreciate it. All right, guys. I hope to do this again soon. You can always find me on my blog and YouTube channel and things like that. I'm all over the place. So hopefully I'll see you guys again soon here or, somewhere else on social media. If you have questions, feel free to reach out at any time. And I will see you guys again. Ooh, you like my ghost? Hold on. We got to show the ghost again. That's with the fancy web stencil from A Colorful Life Designs. And I used Sweet Plum and Pear Tart. The splatter is Pear Tart, and then I sprayed it with Sweet Plum. Isn't it delicious? Oh, love it. Well, thank you so much for joining me, you guys. I hope that you learned some things. I hope you're inspired. I hope that you start playing. If you post anything on social media with your fireworks sprays, please feel free to tag me. It's if you're doing it on Instagram, at Allison Hykela. I'd love to see what you make. So thank you so much for hanging out with me. Stay safe, be well, and peace out.